Hi, welcome to another edition of Business Bites from Bauer Media, Northern Ireland. My name is David Tighe, the Managing Director of Bauer Media here in Northern Ireland, and each week we catch up with a great business story. Well, this week is no exception, and I'm really delighted to welcome Karen and Ellen Yates, the founders of Taylor Yates. Ladies, welcome to the programme.
Hi there, thanks for having us.
Well, this is a first. This is the first time we've had two people on the same sofa talking to us. So I'm not sure who's the talker here, but I'll leave it up to you two. But okay, it's Karen. Right. So welcome to the program. Let's get straight into it. For the people that don't know, tell us about Taylor Yates. Where's it come from, and what does it do?
So we are a luxury leather handbag business at the moment, a brand. Started 5.5 years ago. We live in Portstewart, but we now have a store in Bushmills, and we use leather that comes from the UK, and the handbags are made in Somerset, and they're all named after the women I grew up with. We designed them together, so we've managed 5.5 years in business together. So we've now got a small team. So.
Well, that's great. What do you think makes Taylor Yates special? Why is it different?
I think the combination of the two of us working together, like there's obviously we're mother and daughter, so there's age difference and lots of different things. So it creates a very different look and feel to the brand and makes it quite ageless and quite approachable. And there's not very many people out there that are doing the same sort of thing. So yeah, I think that sort of differentiates us quite a lot.
Well, it's a very successful business, and as you mentioned there, that you are expanding the business into a real world store as well, which you've done. So I suppose let's just take a step back. Sustainability is very, very important these days in business, and that's a key factor in your business. Just explain to us a little bit about how sustainability and the sort of circular economy works in your business.
Yeah, well, I suppose we're one of those businesses that started with that at the heart of what we wanted to do. So we didn't want to just create, I suppose the easy route for us could have been to just go and buy some handbags from somewhere that had already been designed and made, and then just mark them up and sell them on, which would be the traditional, retail route, if you like, whether you sell online or bricks and mortar. But we wanted to do something that was kinder to the planet and people, and also gave back. The idea was that we wanted to be like the Tom's shoes of handbags. So besides making the product sustainable and as close to home as possible, we also, for every handbag, we give back to a charity. But it's been quite difficult. We probably could have grown faster the other way, because we're part of that movement, I suppose, that's trying to change how we consume. People need to consume less. We're actually just looking at, we're actually working on a climate literacy program at the moment. So we now know how much carbon is produced with each of our bags, and we're working again on how we reduce that. So we have a reclaimed collection, which is actually leather that already exists, as opposed to our core collection where we dye leather specifically. It's just a constant work in progress. The last couple of years with the pandemic and people being more aware has been great, but there's just so much more to do. And obviously, the brands that we're up against are massive and well funded. And we got our first round of funding actually earlier this year, which was fantastic, enabled us to grow the team. But yeah, sustainability has always been core. It's always been at the centre of it. We were told to ignore it at the beginning by lots of people and just sell pretty things. Yeah, I think I'm a bit of a determined person when it comes to those things. So I've been like, no, this is the right route. And I think ultimately it will win through because it is.
So starting a fashion brand in our part of the world, how has that experience been?
Interesting, to say the least. It's not really something that you hear much about. People starting a brand from Northern Ireland, like there's designers that come from here, the likes of J.W. Anderson, but they all go to London and they start there and they work for a big brand somewhere else and build their name that way. So lots of people thought we were slightly insane when we started doing this. But we figured, like, you know, there's no reason you can't do it from here, and everything is so, you know, digital and available, especially after the pandemic. But even when we were starting, we thought, you know, we could start this online and we'll be able to grow it, and it was slightly more difficult than we thought. So we ended up with our studio space in Bushmills, which has been amazing. But yeah, people always tend to think that we're much bigger than we are, and that we are actually London based or based somewhere else. And then we tell them we're in this little town called Bushmills, and they're like, where's that?
It's actually a really good, I think it's a good lesson for well, it certainly was for us, because we got invited to London Fashion Week really early on. And like we were 18 months old, we did that. We did pop-ups in London on a number of occasions, but it was the day that we opened in a 3x3 space in a place called Maker's House in Bushmills that we sold 8 bags in one day. And that was the first transformative stage in terms of the business. And that gave us the confidence to open our own studio store, which is downstairs. So we still share that space with the designery, and it's been phenomenal for us.
And actually, even being part of, like, being a brand that's based in Northern Ireland, we love being here, and the fact that we can do what we're doing while looking at the sea. Like, it's not like you have to be in a big city surrounded by tall buildings and no sunlight to actually do something like this. And it, like, I went to uni in Manchester and never really thought I would come back after I went, but came back because of the pandemic, and don't really plan to go too far now because I don't need to anymore. There was always that need to sort of leave, but I don't think that's the same anymore in Northern Ireland.
Well, it's an interesting take, and I have to ask. You know, I think you're the first mother and daughter duo in business that we've spoken to in 2 years. That's another first for this conversation. And how does that work? Does it work well most of the time? Come on, who's gonna tell the truth?
No, well, listen, there have been lots of times when I've had the not now hand, you know, and actually we learn a lot from each other. Ellen sort of forces me to stop sometimes, which I've not been very good at.
I'm better at that.
You are better at that than I am. But generally, yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're quite similar in a lot of ways, but we're different in good ways for working. Like, you have lots of ideas and drive stuff forward, and we're like, right, we're going to do this. And then I'm kind of a bit more on like the sort of detail side. So having both of those things kind of balances out into something that does actually work most of the time.
Yeah, we haven't fallen out.
No, not really.
The odd argument.
Well, I think it just adds to the unique proposition of the whole brand. I think that's the way that I'm reading it here. You've recently launched a new collection. Tell us what's so good and special about that.
Yeah, so we launched the Ola collection. So as I mentioned earlier, all of our handbags are named after the women that I grew up with. And so when we started to move into clothing, which was always planned, and it was knitwear, we're working with a fab girl. She just graduated a couple of years ago, called Ola in Belfast. And so the knitwear that she's making, that we've designed with her, is called the Ola collection. It's fine merino wool, and we're doing it, and we have some stock, but we're basically making it to order, because again, that's more sustainable. Merino itself is really sustainable, and we're trying to encourage people actually with their knitwear now to wear and air it rather than to wash it too often, which again helps with the sustainability. So it's really cool. It's really exciting to actually be able to get product made here, which is ultimately what I would like to do with everything.
And we're both wearing it right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is product placement. That's great. That's interesting. That's really good. So if we want to go online and find out more, where do we find you in that www.world?
Yeah, so we're at tayloryates.com, and then Facebook, Instagram, all the usual sort of spots. And the full range of handbags and now knitwear is available online. And then we have another section of the site called TY Loves, which features some other brands, some that are local, some that are just things that we love. So we have Stories Parfum, who are based down near Belfast, and Solid Scent as well. So lots of other bits and pieces, all Northern Irish brands, yeah.
Well, it's a great story, and we wish you both the very best of luck into the future. More success to you. I may have to stop in and buy a present for someone there very shortly. So, thank you so much for joining us today, Karen, Ellen. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.